let's talk about this year's multiplayer first-person shooter games, because I tried and thought about it, and I could not find a better way to start this intro than just this. There were a ton of great single-player shooters that came out this year, between Deathloop, Necromunda, Far Cry 6, and many more, and there's a ton I could talk about here, but in this video, I just want to talk about the big three recently released multiplayer games. Those being Call of Duty Vanguard, Battlefield 2042, and Halo Infinite. I won't be talking about their single players, though only 2 of them have them, and they are really good, and I recommend them. I really just want to focus on the multiplayer aspect of them and kind of tell you which one I would recommend and give you kind of a breakdown of how they are as someone who typically plays most of these games and plays a lot of multiplayer games. I've spent around 30 hours with Halo, 30 hours with Call of Duty, and about 15 hours on Battlefield. Now, before I start talking about any of these, I want to say something about Activision and their behavior and lawsuits, as I do not want to ignore them, and I don't want to have people claim that I ignored them by playing their published game. Their actions have been absolutely abhorrent and horrific. The number of lawsuits and how they're being handled by Activision is simply the worst it could possibly be. I'm sorry to anyone who has suffered abuse or ever worked there and suffered through what they've done. Even the day that I'm writing out the script for this, there's people being wrongly fired at Raven's QA department and walkouts are happening. Activision is the scum of the video game industry, and if you do not want to support them, I fully understand. I did not pay for my copy of Call of Duty nor Battlefield. I will talk later on about why I do play Activision games still at the end of this video before I go into the little rambling update I usually do at the end of my videos. And I will talk about Call of Duty, the last of these 3 games, so if you don't even watch the Call of Duty content, I fully understand. I will timestamp the video at the minimum so you can go to the selection to kind of hear me out at the very least as to why I still play those games, so you can at least understand where I come from, because that's all I really ask of you. That was a big ass disclaimer, I'm sorry, but it's very important to the video game industry as a whole that I don't just ignore these things when I talk about their games. Now, without further ado, let's get into the good stuff. We'll start with what's arguably the best game on this list, Halo Infinite. Now, Halo's kind of leaned into being a modern game for a little while now, but they were never sure what to do. They tried to lean more into it with 4 with a more Call of Duty approach, and that didn't really work. 5 leaned way more into it with a lot of different modernized things that just completely failed, but a couple things still felt pretty decent for Halo. However, with Infinite, they finally nailed it. It's the best modern Halo incantation that we've ever seen. It's got great movement, great gunplay, great feeling to all the weapons. It's just really good. It's got a great sandbox design where all these different little parts that you can mess around with really interact and work well with each other. You can do lots of dumb crap like grapple around everywhere or boost yourself around. You can throw fusion coils at people. There's just so much interaction with all these different little systems they have that allow a really fun experience in a way that most games don't have for their sandbox, even games that claim they will have them, like Battlefield, which we'll get to later. It's also easily got the best weapon selection in all of Halo. They really nailed down what made it good. In the past games like 3 and 4 and even 5, a lot of the guns felt very samey and felt like they were serving the exact same purpose. In this one, they cut out like half of the weapons and they really dialed it back, but it feels significantly better for it. Every weapon has its own purpose and its own specific design role that none of the others kind of step on or step over. Every gun fills its own niche in a very good way. The map design are also just incredible. They're really good maps. Like, there's really not much I can say bad or anything that I think I can say bad about this game's multiplayer. It's just good. It's arguably the best Halo has ever been in the last 10 years, and it's just outstanding. I love it. It's great. The only issues there really are is, like, it doesn't have a lot of game modes at the time of writing this, at least. They're fixing that, I think, probably the day this video comes out, so you can pretty much ignore this, but we didn't get a lot of game mode options or choice at launch, and that was kind of an issue. And their microtransaction model has been very poor. There's a battle pass and an item shop, and this season is supposed to last almost half a year, but they're doling out the challenges so slowly and XP so slowly. It's insane. It's really difficult to feel like you're making any meaningful progression, and the lack of just having a level for your account in general makes it feel even worse. They just need to do some heavy changes to that. Something like just a general account level to show how much you've played would be a great first step, or just more XP, but with how long they're going to drag out these seasons, I'm not really sure that's much of an option. But I mean, it's free. They made the multiplayer totally free, which is A ballsy move, but one that is definitely going to bring in way more players than it would have otherwise, and means that anyone can just hop in and try Halo and see if they like it. Hey, if you do, cool, stick around, play it. But if you don't, that's fine. They're going to keep adding content and keep updating it, so you can come back later, or there are other games out there you can just go and play instead. I would definitely recommend giving Halo Infinite a shot. It's a lot different from a lot of the other games out there. It's not going to play like Call of Duty or Warzone or Apex or Valorant or anything like that. Halo's definitely its own beast, but that's always kind of set it apart and made it special. It's a good mixture between the old school Quake style games and newer modern shooters, and especially right now, it's in the best position it's ever been to be the best it could ever be. As I said before, that gameplay is just peak. It's genuinely never been this good before. So definitely give it a shot. Moving on to the next game, we have Battlefield 2042. Now, this game, it's kind of a shit show, if I'm being honest. Everything that's come out about its development has just been bad. Most of the main studio that was in charge of Battlefield in the past has left. It's not in a great state right now. Like, there's game design decisions, like there's a character who can just see through walls and just sees enemies through walls, and then there's a character who has to put away his weapon, pull out a hacking tool, hack the enemy, then pull back out his weapon, kill that enemy, and that allows him to see people through walls. It's literally the same thing, but one of them has to do way more and is much shittier than the other. One of them literally just hits a button. It's pretty bad. There's game design choices in here that just make absolutely no sense. A lot of the weapons just don't feel as good as they should. It's not great at all. On top of like terrible game design, there's also terrible map design, where certain areas will be like, oh yeah, B is a literal open field with literally no cover, surrounded by houses that have cover. It makes no sense, and it's not good to play on it. It just feels bad. And there's like a terrible content drought. Like, despite the fact that we did get a decent amount of maps and a decent amount of weapons, still the least in the Battlefield franchise. Even Bad Company 2's Vietnam DLC had more weapons than this game's full launch did. It's just really suffering from a content drought, as there is a really cool mode called Portal that had a lot of potential, but it's dead because we're not allowed to gain any XP from it or level up any of our weapons. And like, you can absolutely make some cool stuff, like gun games in there, and people have just fully customized out and made gun game in it. And that's really cool and it's really fun, except for some reason it disbands lobbies every time the match is over, and Portal servers close when everyone leaves. So like, once the match ends, everyone just gets kicked out, and bam, you're back on the main lobby menu, and hey, that server you were just in with the cool gun game mode closes, and there's no way to actually like see previous stats or previous matches. So that's just gone, and you don't actually get to ever play it again. Like, there's so much here that's just terrible decision wise. I haven't even mentioned Hazard Zone, which is what the game was originally supposed to be, more of like a battle royale style thing, except it's really not. And it's a game all about like 4-player team play, but there's no voice chat in the game for some reason, so there's no way to actually talk to these teammates you get put into random squads with and work with, and it's just bad. There's no other way to put it. This game is not good right now. I can't recommend it at all. Like, even if it's on a free weekend, I mean, give it a shot on a free weekend, but like, don't expect much. It's really just not good, and honestly, there doesn't seem like there is a lot of hope that it could be potentially better. At least, that's what it looked like for sure as the game stood and as it was at launch and as the few updates we've had have shown us. That's potentially gonna change. DICE went through a big shakeup recently. They brought in Vince Zampella, who originally was one of the founding members of Infinity Ward, the Call of Duty team, as well as being one of the founding members of Respawn, in to pretty much take charge of the Battlefield franchise. They brought in Marcus Leto, who had worked before on Halo, in order to build a new development team to make like story mode content for Battlefield and to help design this new world that frankly 2042 created and absolutely doesn't use in any of its game design at all. They've also stated that Ripple Effect, the people who frankly saved Battlefield 4 from being a complete failure, are going to have a much bigger role in the future development of 2042 and potentially help to bring it back around. There's a lot here that has the potential for the future of this game and potentially could make it better, but honestly, as it stands, you might just want to skip this game in its entirety. It's not worth playing right now, and there's a lot of design choices and a lot of things that need to change and be fixed before it'll be anywhere near a playable, functional, fully good to go video game. And I mean, that could be something that we see as early as this time next year, which I'd say as early as, because it's really in that kind of shape. Don't buy 2042. Maybe give it a shot on a free weekend, but even then, if you're actually excited for the game, give it another year minimum. I'll definitely make a video if it comes back around, since Battlefield is definitely my peak franchise. But yeah, right now, just don't do it. And that leads me to our final game of these three, Call of Duty Vanguard. This one surprised me, as honestly, I wasn't really excited for this game, like, at all. I don't think a lot of people were. If you looked at the hype generated around it online, most people were incredibly meh on the game. Like, oh, cool, it's using the Modern Warfare engine. Oh, cool, it's another World War II game. And no one really cared. And that's exactly how I felt for most of it. I loved Modern Warfare, and I honestly thought that game was like a gift from God himself. Like, that game's really, really good and really did a lot to change up Call of Duty as a whole and kind of bring it back to basics while still feeling like an incredible modern game. Like, 2019's Modern Warfare is what rose-tinted glasses think Call of Duty 4 was, but it is that now for today's time, and it just feels so good. Which is why I didn't at all expect to actually love Call of Duty Vanguard when that beta finally rolled around. Modern Warfare was a much slower experience, but a very good one for Call of Duty, and then Cold War was a much faster experience, but a lot smoother and kind of a better flow to it. Vanguard comes out of nowhere and decides it's going to be the perfect balance between everything Modern Warfare did and everything Cold War did, while also mixing in new features and having the most content of any Call of Duty game they've ever released. Like, people gave Cold War flack because it only launched with like 27 guns and 7 maps. And then Vanguard comes in and is like, yeah, we have over 40 weapons and we have over 20 maps at launch. That's not to mention the fact that they're still doing free content drops of new weapons and maps throughout all of this next year. And the map design is great. They leaned into the 3-lane aesthetic, but they tried to make it feel more realistic in a way that makes it just feel really good. It's not quite as strictly 3-lane as Cold War, but it is still like a little more open than Modern Warfare in that it feels realistic without really having to forcibly stick to realism in a way that kind of brings it back. It's just really good. There's fantastic weapon balance, even though some of them were super overpowered. They worked very quickly and very hard to fix that, and I find there's really fun weapon customization. A lot of people are going to call the weapon customization cursed, and they're not wrong. The game doesn't go for realism at all. It just uses World War II as the setting for fun multiplayer, which is what they did with Call of Duty World War II just as well. And the single player is a lot more realistic, but multiplayer wise, you can just get really stupid with it. Like, really, really stupid with it. There's tons of really fun game modes that they cycle in and out. And you can actually do something now to customize whether you want like a 6v6, a 10v10, or like a 15x15 match in every single mode. And you can just play modes where it's like 15v15 warfare, where it's just a ton of people shoved into one map that wasn't really designed for it, but it's just chaos. And if that's what you want, that's what you can get. Or you can dial it way back to that like 6v6 really tactical, much slower paced experience. You really get to play this game however you want. You can kit out the weapons however you want. You can get just as dumb with it as you want. It's really, really surprisingly good. Like, I honestly really do recommend it, especially compared to Battlefield. Like, it's actually an incredibly solid shooter. I've had a ton of fun with it. I'm really enjoying just kitting out the weapons for stupid stuff, and it's just really, really fun. Between Halo, Call of Duty, and Battlefield, Call of Duty is surprisingly my favorite game this year. And again, I know I am like a Call of Duty fanboy, so I mean, that's not that surprising, but I didn't expect to even like this game. I expected this game to kind of pass by, everyone to go meh and move on, because that's what the general consensus of it seemed to be before it actually came out. And a lot of people online still kind of think it is. If you look at like user reviews on Metacritic, it's a very low user review, but so is Modern Warfare. Arguably the best the franchise has ever been was like the exact same numbers as far as user reviews goes, because people just like to hate on Call of Duty. It's the hip thing to do and has been for like the last decade. The only downsides I'd say to the game is like some of the challenges it has for camos are kind of actually really shitty and have dissuaded me from even doing the camo grind this year, as I can't work on all of them at once. Which, I mean, I couldn't in the other things, but it would be like max out the attachments and get so many kills, and then get so many kills with no attachments. This time it's like use these specific attachments and then use this other specific set and then this other specific set. And I have to use guns way more than I did in any of the previous games. And I know most people aren't even going to do these camo challenges. Like, that really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. That's a very minimalist complaint, but that's like the only one I actually have about this game. I actually really love Call of Duty Vanguard, and that's so surprising for me to say, since I really expected to not even care about it. So yeah, overall this year was absolutely solid, with like one smaller misstep. What have you guys been playing? Have you been like playing a lot of Battlefield and actually really enjoying it? Have you tried Call of Duty Vanguard? It's got a free weekend coming up. I definitely say give it a shot. Have you been playing Halo like everyone else has and absolutely having a blast with it? Let me know in the comments. I'll be sure to respond to like everything I can, because I know that's just what I want to do. I like talking with people. That's why I make these videos. I like talking with people and about things. So definitely leave something in the comments. I'll definitely respond to it if I can. Thanks for watching. On to the slightly less fun portion of this. I still play Call of Duty despite what Activision has been doing, and I still enjoy Call of Duty despite what Activision has been doing. Some of you may not like this, and I do fully understand that. As I stated before, I do not approve of anything that Activision is doing, and I never will. However, in my personal opinion, I tend to lean on the idea of separating the art from the artist. Call of Duty itself may be the product of one of the most corrupt and horrible publishers ever created in the video game landscape, but I still very much enjoy it for just what it is as a game. I also lost someone close to me earlier this year, someone much younger than me, and while I'm not trying to use this as an excuse, I do believe and have for a long time that we're just not promised tomorrow. We're not promised to wake up or even make it to the drive home from school or work every single day. We're promised nothing in this life. I really just kind of want to have a good time sometimes and chill out and play video games, and Call of Duty's an easy one to sit back and chill out and play. If you don't like that and you don't agree with that, that's fine, and I get it, but that's where I'm coming from, and that's why I still play and still will continue to play Call of Duty. So, yeah, at the minimum, I just wanted you to hear me out on that part. So, thanks for watching. Alright, it's been like way too long since I made a video. There's no script for this part, of course. This is just me rambling, as I do at the end of these videos. I have multiple videos planned. Some of them are going to take a really long time. One of them's like a 3-part, like multi-hour long video that's going to take fucking forever. I have no idea when I'm actually going to be getting onto that video or doing that video. That's going to take a while. I have another smaller video I already have planned. I already have the script written. I might even record the audio for it just after this one so I can boot it out the door fast. But we'll see how my time ends up panning out for me. I've been very busy recently. I've been working pretty much full time. I try to spend any free time I really can with my wife, and honestly, there's been a lot of games that came out this year, and I've just been enjoying myself and playing those, and not really trying to stress about all these videos I want to make and don't have time to make. This has always just been a fun hobby that I enjoy doing. I'm not willing to treat it like a job until it becomes something I can treat as a job. So right now, I haven't been working on too much, to be completely honest, and I was like, I have a couple ideas of ones that I could probably make decently quick. So I just wanted to get those done, and multiplayer games or something like I'm flopping between these 3 games even now. Even with how terrible I said Battlefield is, I'm whore out for first-person shooters, and I still play it a ton, so I'm still playing that a ton, even though it's really bad. Vanguard's still really fun. I'm not doing the camo grind this year, I don't think. Unless they change it. They've been changing some of the challenges, so like I might end up on it. I don't know. I really enjoy Halo, but that really like drip feed of terrible decision has just kept me from actually putting the time into it I expected to. I've just straight up not played it nearly as much as I thought I would. Though I did beat the entire campaign in like one sitting. So yeah, that's all from me. Expect another video probably before the end of the year. I'll have it out, maybe not, depending on how Christmas goes and how busy I end up being, but I should have a free day in a couple days that I'm probably going to use to do stuff. So yeah, Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you didn't, I get it. If you didn't like all the Activision stuff, that's fine. That's how it is. I just wanted to really talk about the Activision stuff because that's not something I feel should be ignored. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.